What is up, ladder climbers? Antoine Wade here from Elevate to the Unknown and nextgenheights.com. That's NXTGENHEIGHTS.com. And it is Friday, October the 10th at 7 a.m. Central, and we are live on the Daily Climb. For all you folks who are new, welcome aboard to Flight 1010, final descent of 1 week. Buckle up. Last night, while you guys were sleeping, the Senate went home. Military paycheck delays 5 days away. Letitia James indicted overnight. The Philippines, 7.6 earthquake this morning. Federal workers got partial paychecks today with $35 left in their bank accounts. 782 American workers were laid off this week, 6,000 plus globally. But Luke Burlatsky, he turned down $130,000 at 19, sailed around the world, made $20 million last year from a laptop. It's day 5, week 1 ends today. Did you guys do your day 1 through 4? Or did you make excuses? We got 50 minutes in today's show. We got 50 minutes on today's flight. Let's success. Let's get ready to take off. Let's see who's all in the house. Morris Lee, good to see you. K Young, good to see you, my man. All right, here's the deal. Thursday night, the Senate voted for the 7th time, okay? They voted for the 7th time, and it failed, 54-45. Then they adjourned until Tuesday of next week. House Speaker Mike Johnson said the job in the House is done. He's not bringing them back together. He's not bringing them back this weekend. The government shutdown is now guaranteed for 14 days minimum through the entire weekend, through Monday until Tuesday at the earliest. Military paychecks are scheduled for Wednesday of next week, which is October the 15th, 5 days from today. If funding doesn't pass on Tuesday, active duty military won't get paid. People serving this country, people putting their lives on the line, no paycheck. I'll let you guys listen in on what they are saying on the news. Check this out.
I do want to bring into the conversation National President of the National Federation of Federal Employees, Randy Irwin. Randy, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. I know you represent over 100,000 members in the federal workforce. What kind of conversations are happening right now amongst members as they're working without pay?
Yeah, they're worried. They're most first and foremost, you got to remember, these are middle class workers doing great work for the American people. And because of this shutdown, because Congress can't do its job, can't get along and reach the compromise necessary, getting a bill that will pass Congress, because of that, they're not getting a paycheck. Starting, tomorrow now, it'll be tomorrow when they see a reduced paycheck. This pay period that they're about to get paid for happened, a few days were during the shutdown, so they got a partial paycheck. But this is the last pay that they're going to see for weeks. We don't know how long this is going to go on. They're really, really worried. They're not going to be, a lot of folks aren't going to be able to feed their families. They're not going to be able to get the medicine that they need. They're worried about childcare. It doesn't need to be this way in this country.
Yeah, there's so many different impacts that you might not think about at first, kind of thought about this. What kind of people are a member of this organization? Who are you representing? What sectors are they in?
Yeah, we're the National Federation of Federal Employees, America's first federal employee union. We're big in the Department of Defense. We got about 50,000 people that are keeping our military ready. We got the workers, healthcare professionals at 50 different VA hospitals across the country. So the care of the American veteran is in the hands of NEFI IM members, the people I represent. And then we got folks at land management agencies, the Forest Service. Think about wildland firefighters putting those fires out west. We're big in the Park Service, Bureau of Land Management, U.S. Geological Survey, Passport Agency, and about 35 other agencies across the country. All these folks providing essential services for the American people. They're the backbone of this country.
And they're not getting paid. They're not getting paid. Some of them get paid today, but they are for the hours that they worked already. A lot of them are coming into the office every single day, working 8 hours to 4:30 and still not getting paid. Our military is at risk. of potentially not being paid. I want to share something else with you guys on a military veteran and how it may impact her and her family. Check this out.
Courtney Watuki, a military spouse with 3 kids, is about to face head on.
If they came down our street and spoke to every single one of us, like, they would see how much people are going to truly struggle.
Members have introduced a separate bill to make sure the military gets paid.
Samantha, you're on with Speaker Johnson.
It was a plea made directly to Speaker Mike Johnson today by a Republican military mom who said in a call to C-SPAN she won't be able to afford medicine for her kids.
I'm begging you to pass this legislation. My kids could die.
Pressed by Tom, the speaker is insistent passing a full spending bill is a better option.
Why wouldn't you at least try to get a standalone bill together?
Well, I tell them that we're worried about their not getting paid as well, and that's why we already voted to pay the troops.
He is not alone.
Should you do something separate to make sure they get a paycheck in a couple days here?
What about the FBI? What about the CIA? What about the Secret Service?
Meanwhile, Republicans...
And by the way, 1/3 of all federal employees are veterans. Don't forget that.
And
you guys heard it. You guys heard it. They're fighting amongst each other, and people are not being paid. What's up next is potentially military families may not be getting paid. People who are working and serving for this country and protecting this country may not be getting paid. Now, I did come across something that President Trump did say, because he's trying to introduce a bill. I want to make sure I give you guys the accurate facts. This is what President Trump said. Check this one out.
On the shutdown, we are now about 1 week away from military service members missing their paycheck.
We'll always take care of our military.
Would you encourage Congress to pass a standalone bill to pay our service members?
Yeah, that probably will happen. We don't have to worry about it yet. That's a long time. You know what 1 week is for me? An eternity. 1 week for me is a long time. We'll take care of it. Our military is always going to be taken care of.
You heard him. He said he's going to take care of the military. So if you believe him, potentially this could be solved. He said, you know, a week is a lifetime in his world. That's what's happening right now. Today, Friday, workers are getting their partial paychecks. These only cover work from September the 30th before the shutdown. A young lady named Camille, who I came across on a article yesterday, Social Security claims representative from Springfield, Massachusetts. She is still working 8 a.m. to 4:30 every day, no pay. She told reporters this shutdown is anxiety ridden. There's a difference between the money that you need now to pay your rent or your mortgage, to pay your car, child care, food, electric bills, and the money you will get. She says, I don't know. A month in the future. One of her coworkers will only cover their mortgage with today's check, nothing else. People are out here, this is hurting them. Another coworker said this, she will only have $35 left total after this paycheck. No gas money, no food money, $35. Type 35 if that's unacceptable. Air traffic controllers. 2 people spoke yesterday to the New York Post. They asked to stay anonymous. A South Carolina controller says the financial strain directly jeopardizes safety. When individuals responsible for the safety of thousands daily are preoccupied with, I can't pay my rent. I don't know if I'm going to feed my kids. Their focus wanes, he says. And even a brief lapse can have severe consequences. I told you guys yesterday about this one, and I said this, I am not flying right now. If there's no reason for me to fly, I'm not going to fly. A California air controller said the same thing. The shutdown impacts every single traveler around the world. You're seeing more and more flight delays. Increased stress equates to heightened risk. That's common sense, guys. These people guide your plane, working 60-hour weeks, no pay, worried about their mortgages, and the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, he threatened Thursday to fire them if they don't show up. So you don't show up to the office, you potentially may get fired. And if we have some staff members who are not as committed, he says, as we require, we are going to have to let you go. Working without pay, threatened with terminations for calling out sick. Heather Campbell, 39 years old, from Montgomery, Alabama. She lost her food bank job this summer. Federal funding cuts was the reason for it. Her husband is an Air Force officer. He won't get paid Wednesday if this continues. She said, if you're asking us to put our lives on the line and you're not even going to give us our paycheck, then what? There is a lot of broken trust that's developing right now. Another military mom from Fort Belvoir, Virginia, called C-SPAN Thursday. Samantha, this is the one that they talked about in this video that I showed you guys a second ago. She has 2 medically fragile children. Her husband actively serves this country. He suffers from PTSD from 2 years in Afghanistan. She says if they see a lapse in pay on next Wednesday, their children do not get the medication that they need to keep them alive because we live paycheck to paycheck. That's what she said. Her kids need medications to live. Her husband served 2 years. They might not get paid on Wednesday. Congress isn't doing their job. They don't care about you. I've been telling you this for a long time. This is day 10 of this going on. Type kids if that breaks your heart. Type it in the chat. That's the government breaking down. Now, let me show you what happened overnight in the legal system. New York Attorney General Letitia James, she got indicted for bank fraud. This is the second Trump opponent in 2 weeks. I want you guys to stay with me on this one.
I do want to discuss some breaking news right now as we are learning here into our newsroom that a grand jury has indicted New York Attorney General Letitia James on potential around alleged fraud, indicted on fraud charge in the latest case against a Trump foe. This according to an Associated Press source. The contents of the indictment still not unsealed as of Thursday afternoon. James has been under investigation since May over a 2023 mortgage she took out to help a niece buy a home in Norfolk, Virginia. Of course, this also coming in the same district, the Eastern District of Virginia that we saw earlier within the last several weeks. James Comey get indicted as the U.S. Attorney there, Lindsay Halligan. She is now in that position after under pressure by Trump to bring charges against Comey and James. Eric Seibert resigned, was replaced by the U.S. Attorney, a former personal attorney to Trump, Lindsay Halligan. So the charges obviously come as Trump continues to call for his enemies to be prosecuted in court. Former FBI Director James.
You heard it. You heard it. Letitia James, New York Attorney General, indicted by federal grand jury in Virginia. 2 felony charges, bank fraud, false statements to a financial institution, up to 30 years in prison on each count. 60 years total if convicted. This is a big allegation from a 2020 mortgage application, 3-bedroom home in Norfolk, Virginia. She allegedly said that it was her secondary residence, but used it as a rental property for her niece. So that allegedly saved her nearly $19,000 in loan costs. Her first court appearance is October the 24th. Now, she denied the charges immediately, called them groundless, said it is political retaliation from President Trump. Here's the pattern. Letitia James prosecuted Trump in New York. You guys remember that? She was all on his back. Civil fraud case, $454 million judgment. She's been one of his most vocal opponents for years. Now she's indicted. 2 weeks ago, James Comey was indicted. Former FBI director, another major Trump opponent. 2 major opponents, 2 weeks, both facing federal charges. James says this is retaliation. Trump says it is justice. But I'm not here to tell you guys who's right here. I'm here to tell you what this means for your career. Reputation risk is real. You go after somebody in your career, you are asking for your reputation to be risked. High profile positions come with high profile targets. Letitia James, she was a New York Attorney General, powerful position. She was a beast at her job. She wore it on her sleeve. She wore it in her face. She wore it anywhere. She had a great salary, stable government job. Now she's facing 60 years. The career lesson here isn't about politics. It's about vulnerability. If you go after people, your time may be coming. People don't always remember that. You may not be in power for a very long time. Don't think that you're in power forever. Don't think that everything is going to be fine and dandy every single day if you get to a position of power. Because if you do something wrong to the wrong person, they can always come back and do something wrong to you. That's what's happening here. The higher you climb in any system, the more exposed that you become, whether that's a government, whether that's in corporate, whether that's nonprofit, it doesn't matter. Executives get fired for tweets. CEOs get indicted for decade-old decisions. Politicians get targeted by whoever takes power next. You can't control who comes after you. You can't control who investigates you. You can't control headlines. Type exposure in the chats if you get it. But what you can control is your skill set, your certifications, your ability to pivot if your reputation gets attacked. If Letitia James gets disbarred, she can't practice law anymore. That's her entire career. She spent numbers of years going through law school and climbing the ranks and becoming this big beast like she became. Making all kinds of great money. Power. If she gets disbarred, she has to find another career. But if you have Oracle certifications, AWS certifications, data skills, AI knowledge, you can work from anywhere for anyone under any administration. Skills outlast reputations. Certifications outlast job titles. Capabilities outlast positions. That is not cynicism, guys. That is preparation. What you just saw in this segment was two systems breaking down. The government and legal. Now, let me show you what's happening in the job market. We got fresh October layoff news. 3 American companies, 1 global giant, 4 sectors, same pattern. Stay with me on this one. Three American companies, 1 global giant. Houston Independent School District on October the 8th, which was Wednesday. This past Wednesday, 214 workers laid off, 160 uncertified teachers, 54 staff members. Why were they laid off? Well, budget cuts. Houston ISD, their enrollment is declining. They're planning for 8,000 fewer students. That's $67 million in revenue loss. The past decade, enrollment dropped 30,000 students. Fewer students equals less money equals fewer teachers. Education sector is cutting jobs. This is what's happening. Teachers being cut. We also got news from Packaging Corporation of America. They announced on October the 7th, which was on Tuesday, 168 workers, 2 plant closures. Allentown, Pennsylvania, 60 employees. The plant closes December the 1st. Salisbury, North Carolina, 108 workers. The plant closes December the 19th. Why? Overcapacity. The company bought another business for $1.8 billion. Now they have too many plants. The Salisbury plant ran for 70 years. Ain't that something? 70 years manufacturing. You know, when you enter in a city for about 70 years, it is a feeding ground for people coming out of high school who don't want to go to college. Where are you going to go work? Oh, I'm going to work for the plant. I'm going to work for the Salisbury plant. Right? That's what the small town people do. They go and work for the plant, right? Have a good job. Potentially retire there. Well, that plant is gone now. And that plant was open since the 1950s. Done. Gone. The industry estimates container board closures cut nearly 10% of North American capacity this year. Manufacturing sector is consolidating. We got a tech company that announced layoffs. Acrisure on October the 9th, 400 accounting employees cut, done next year. Reason why, and this is accountants. Typically we say accountants are safe. This is accountants. The company said it directly. Advances in technology and automation. So they're cutting accountants. AI is replacing accountants as well. Not all of them, but 400 at this one company. This is a corporate sector job. This is automation that's hitting accounting. That's the America layoffs that happened this week. Houston ISD 214, that's the education sector. Budget cuts. Packaging Corporation, which is manufacturing, 168 employees cut. Acrisure 400, corporate, AI cut. 3 sectors, 782 American workers were impacted this week. That's not including the government workers who aren't getting paychecks, who potentially are furloughed. IRS, 35,000. Now, let's go to global. Spanish telecommunications giant, one of Europeans' biggest. You guys have probably seen this on either movies. Have you ever seen any movie that was filmed in Spain? If you went to Barcelona or something like that. Telefonica. They're cutting 6,000 to 7,000 jobs by the end of this year. Why? Because of debt. They're carrying 27.6 billion euros, almost about $30 billion in AI automation, and fiber optic networks need fewer people than old copper networks. The cost of the layoffs, $2.6 billion. Savings, $1 billion a year starting 2026. So 6,000 to 7,000 people will be gone to save $1 billion a year. This is the telecommunications industry. This is global. This is AI. This is debt. I came across some Reddit posts on yesterday. I want to share this with you all. This Reddit post that I'm sharing with you guys was posted by a moderator who's part of the layoff community, and it has about 133 members. This is what he posted. I don't want you guys to just pay attention to this. Layoff season is coming. Prepare now. December and January are the most common months for layoffs. Expect a wave no matter what's happening in politics. The post got 1,000 upvotes. The top comment says this. They said, every time that my husband got laid off, it was in November. So workers, be prepared. We're not even in November yet. Here's a career lesson. 4 different reasons, 4 different sectors, same week. Education, manufacturing, corporate, telecom. Your industry matters. Some sectors are dying. Others are hiring like crazy. Pick the right sector or get left behind in the wrong one. Real quick, if you're in one of the dying sectors and need to pivot, consider joining our Patreon, www.patreon.com/Black Heights. We have people who made the exact transition that you're looking to make. Warehouse work, the sales, technology sales, that is. Supply chain, the AI, military to technology, teachers to data analytics. That's part of our community. Consider joining the Patreon. If you guys need private one-on-one coaching session, book a coaching session on my website, www.nextgenheights.com. You guys just saw 782 American workers get cut this week, and over 7,000 total around the globe. Now, let me show you guys someone who refused to play that game. This is going to be a good one. I want you guys to stay with me on this one, okay? Check out Luke Burlatsky. Luke Burlatsky is from Michigan, comes from a stereotypical family. Dad worked in the steel mills. Mom worked at a church. Luke said, I'm hugely grateful for my childhood, but I knew that life wasn't for me. Didn't want to work in the steel mills, didn't want to work in a church. Comes from a small town, not a lot of thinking. So at age 12, he started coding. He didn't tell anyone because he was embarrassed. Because he said back then, if you coded, that wasn't cool. It was weird. You were looked at as a geek, a nerd. Nobody in this town knew tech. They only knew about factory work, working as a mechanic, blue collar work. Nothing on the technical side. And if you went in tech, they say you were weird. So he went to school. He studied computer science. Went to the University of Michigan. Great school, great computer science program. While in college, a company offered him a fully remote job, $130,000 salary. He was only 19 when he got that offer. $130,000 at that age was more than his parents made combined. He was one up in his mom and dad. He turned that job down. The family thought he was crazy. Nobody traveled, far from his town. Nobody left this town. You know how you grow up in towns where majority of people don't leave. They stick around. They don't celebrate risk. They celebrate comfort. They won't leave the country. They say this country is the best country, and they have never experienced it. They view the eyes in different places through the lens of the news networks that tells a whole bunch of lies and paints a picture of what the world doesn't look like. But for Luke, he says, you know what? I'm not sticking around here, and I need some time to mature. He needed some time to figure out who he was. So after college, he took a good job, but that job didn't last long. So Luke says, you know what? I'm sick and tired of working for these corporations. I want to start my own company. So what he did was he leveraged the job that he had at the time, and he worked hard for a year to make money to travel. He saved about $30,000, enough to get to New Zealand. His family was saying all the stuff that typical family would say. Why would you do that? You need to stay here, stay with us. Why would you leave a good job? Why would you travel to New Zealand? There's nothing over there for you. America's the best place. We got everything that we need over here. Luke was in New Zealand when COVID hit. Spent 2 months in a cabin alone, no internet. During those 2 months, he invented Pixels, his company, video game using blockchain technology. He worked on it offline, had to drive 30 minutes to push code because there was no good internet where he was at. 2 months alone, he got an opportunity to focus and create. That's what he did. For 2 straight months, head down, focus, and create. As the world started to open back up, Luke kept traveling. He sailed to New Zealand, then to Fiji. And he did it on a sailboat. And the sailboat had a broken bilge pump. For many of you guys who don't know anything about boats, a bilge pump is used to remove water whenever there's water on board. If you don't have one and there's water that gets in the boat and it fills the boat with water, you're in trouble. But his bilge pump was broken. At night, guess what he did? He had to go and empty the bilge pump with a sponge and do it by hand. Because the person who he was renting the boat from, they couldn't afford to fix it. So every single night, Luke crawled in the hull of the boat, used a sponge, used a bucket, soak the sponge up with water, put it in a bucket, dump it out. He did it by hand. Then after that, once he understood that the boat wasn't going to sink, then he worked on pixels until the morning. Sponge, water, code. Sponge, water, code. Sponge, water, code. He met backpackers along the way when he traveled, but they couldn't understand why he spent so much time on his computer. Luke said, I could build a business in a city apartment or from a sailboat in Kenya, but he chose the adventure. He took judgment from fellow travelers. They were like, man, this dude's weird. All he's doing is on his laptop. He's always talking about money. He lives on a damn sailboat. But he didn't care because he knew what he was building. Years passed. Pixels got the attention from accelerators and investors. There was a low point, many low points along the way, he said, especially in 2021, he said. Luke was convinced that the company would fail. So he took a job farming potatoes in Idaho. This is when he got back to the States. So during that drive to Idaho, he got accepted into a Bay Area accelerator. He went through the accelerator program, still hadn't solved a lot of the problems with the Pixels tool that he was building. So he rented a cabin for a month by himself again. When he came out of that cabin and sitting there and having the time to think and grow and focus on himself and focus on his work, he had Pixels, the new version of it as it exists today. Rapid growth. And in 2024, they did 20 million in revenue. Early on, Luke gave up freedom to build. He said he got burnt out. After talking with an investor, he realized something, that he could be a CEO and live semi-nomadic. So today, he lives between a camper and a sailboat. He chooses which one he wants to live in. Right now, he's in Utah, in the Utah desert, camping in his van, running a $20 million company from his laptop. He says, here, I have no distractions. I can focus on work. Thanks to the technology, I have great internet and I can do it from anywhere. I can run my own company and explore. He recently bought a sailboat for about $100,000. He said when he attended the Bay Area Accelerator, other founders talked about how much money they needed to retire, hundreds of millions of dollars. But he said he just wanted $100,000 to buy a sailboat. Man got a sailboat. Now he's sailing and camping. And he says sailing and camping makes him a better CEO because it gives him an opportunity to be in his best mental state. The lesson that I'm sharing isn't for you to go buy a sailboat. The lesson is Luke didn't depend on one employer. He didn't depend on one paycheck. He didn't depend on one system. What Luke did was he built skills. He created value. He controlled what he could control. Remote work enabled his lifestyle, but the skills enabled his income. You can't sail around the world if you don't have skills worth $20 million. If you got the skills that's worth over $20 million, you can do what you want. But that's Luke. Now I want to share with you guys a story about a young man by the name of Sam. This is a good one as well, too. Sam is an interesting one. Sam spent $136 of his last $700 on a poster. He stood on Wall Street, 10 interviews in 1 week. That poster got him. Prior to doing that, he applied to thousands of jobs, got 0 results. That's the story of Sam. Let's get into this one. Sam Rabinowitz, Generation Z, recent graduate. He said he did everything right, applied to jobs, polished his resume, LinkedIn networking, applied to over 1,000 jobs. He did that over months, customized everything. He followed the career advisor's playbook. The result, 0 interviews. Down to his last $700. So Sam had a decision. Keep doing what wasn't working. Keep doing what wasn't working. Or try something completely different. He spent $136 of his last $700. He built a custom poster printed. This custom poster basically had his resume on it, contact information. Please get me a job. He stood outside of the financial district in New York City, Wall Street. He did that for multiple days. He posted videos on Instagram and TikTok, documented the conversations that he was having with people, how people looked at him. The videos ultimately went viral, hundreds of thousands of views. The media picked it up. Fortune wrote about it. LinkedIn exploded. The result, 10 job interviews in 1 week, 1,000 applications equals 0 interviews. 1 poster equals 10 interviews. I want you guys to hear it directly from Sam. Let me get to this video.
This fella in front of you, Sam Rabinowitz, I just happened to run into him on Instagram where he was doing this. So Sam went out with a sign I found pretty remarkable. So Sam, what made you just put yourself out there like that?
I've been applying for a month or two now and getting little to no traction. So, I came up with the idea on a random afternoon laying in bed, and I said, how hard would this be to actually make the sign? So I just went ahead and started doing it. And I was going to leave last Monday, New York. So I was just visiting for a week. My goal of visiting was to go to a wedding, make some connections. And I went to the wedding, but connections weren't working out so well. So kind of getting that anxiety, that fear. And I really wanted to push myself and make a big move. You know what I mean? So in my head, I thought about that and I said, okay, that could work. So I went ahead and just did it. I extended my flight for the next day and I went to Wall Street.
Okay, yeah. So we talked a little bit offline before this. Now, if you don't go to Columbia or NYU or Harvard, it can be really tough to to break into Wall Street. And so I just want to say I admire you for throwing yourself out there.
You heard it. You heard it. This man was bold. This man spent $136. This man went on Wall Street. He created a poster. Sam didn't get hired by Wall Street immediately by doing this, but other opportunities did open up for him. Because here's the thing that Sam did. Sam stood out. He was the only one that was doing this. He refused to be invisible. Both Luke and Sam created their own opportunities instead of waiting for systems to give them the permission. You got a whole bunch of people right now who graduated college, bachelor's degree and master's degree, and they're just sitting down in a queue waiting for people to pick them up, not creating their own, not doing anything to stand out. You got a whole bunch of people who want to position themselves to get to the next level, but they're not doing anything that stands out. Now it's day 5. It's Friday, the assessment day. Let me ask you guys directly. If you've been watching the show, you've been following the show all week, did you do days 1 through days 4? Or did you make excuses? Day 1 was on Monday. You were supposed to complete an audit. Look at where you actually work. Did you? Or did you say, I already know, I'm too good for this? Day 2 was Tuesday. You were supposed to start and pick a certification to begin. Did you start it? Or did you say, I'll do it next week? Day 3 was Wednesday. Was about visibility, updating your LinkedIn headline, showing that you're learning and leveraging AI. Did you do it? Or did you say LinkedIn doesn't matter? Day 4 was Thursday. You're supposed to reach out to 5 people who made the transition that you're looking to make. Did you message 5 people or did you say, I don't know what to say? If you did any of this, you're ahead of 95% of people. Most people just talk. They don't do it. If you didn't, you're exactly where you were on Monday, where you were before. 5 days older, zero steps forward. I mean, that's exactly how people work these days. The majority of people aren't going to do it. They're not going to do what's going to make them successful. And the proof is in the results. People say it's all other sorts of things and religion and race and all this other stuff. The proof is in the results. If you are working, you are going to get the results. There is an Oracle Race to Certification, free through October 31st, 21 days from today. An AWS AI Challenge, 50% off discount through November the 4th. OpenAI Academy launch. That's going to be certifying over 10 million Americans. You got Susan Enuma, who we talked about earlier this week. She posted a certificate of completion on LinkedIn. She got 98 reactions, 51 comments, getting interview calls. You got Kira Judge, a senior business analyst. She posted a certification, got a job offer shortly after. Recent data shows that workers who share certifications on LinkedIn get 6 times more profile views. They're 29% more likely to get hired. I know it seems cheesy and corny to post that stuff on LinkedIn, but it gets more views. So do it. Sam, 1,000 applications, 0 results, 1 poster, 10 interviews. Luke turned down 130,000, built a $20 million company. Susan posted a certificate. She got interview calls. Kira, she posted a cert, got a job offer. The window was open. But here's the piece of it. You got to do the work and you got to walk through it. And if you need help with week 2, that's what the Patreon is for. That's what my coaching business is for. nextgenheights.com. Booking coaching session. It's not that expensive. Week 1, which was this week, it basically separated action takers from excuse makers. Action takers, they updated their LinkedIn on Wednesday. They started Oracle or some other certification on Tuesday. They reached out on Thursday. Excuse makers, they said tomorrow. They said next week. They said when things calm down. They said when I'm not tired. Put it like this, man. Things are never going to calm down. You got to make time for it. You have to prioritize it. You just got to get it done. I'm operating right now on maybe 3 hours of sleep. Went to bed at 8:30 last night. Woke up around like 1 o'clock. Couldn't get back to sleep. Get it done. I'll figure that piece of it out myself. I will get sleep, but just get it done. I said this today earlier to my wife. I'm like, this show right here is probably going to be a crap show. I'm still here. The point is, week 1 ends today. Week 2 starts on Monday. Where are you going to be and what are you going to do? Week 1 is complete. Now let me shift. Data centers. Let's talk about that. Because we've been talking about data centers and the jobs that's available there. On October the 8th, 2 days ago, there was a big announcement. Prometheus Hyperscale, massive data center project near Casper, Wyoming. 1.5 gigawatts, enough power for about 1 million homes. Initial investment, $500 million for about 1 million homes. But also, it can scale to 1.5 gigawatts total. Jobs, up to 600 employees. Economic impact, up to $3.1 billion. A Wyoming data center is going to create 600 jobs. On October the 9th, Microsoft, they revealed capacity shortage persisting in 2026. They can't build data centers fast enough. AI is exceeding demand. Or the AI demand is so great out there that is exceeding the supply. Many U.S. regions are experiencing longer constraints than expected. They want to build more data centers. Microsoft is one of the world's richest companies. They can't build data centers fast enough. Edison Electric, they announced utility plans to spend $1.1 trillion over the next 5 years on grid modernization. That's $1.1 trillion. That's a lot of money. 91 gigawatts new capacity under construction. 488 gigawatts planned for next year. That's 46% of the nation's existing grid capacity. Why am I talking about this? All this technical stuff. Because data centers, AI infrastructure, every tech company is building it. Meta spending $72 billion, Microsoft $80 billion, Google $85 billion. They are racing and they need workers. This is where the money is flowing at. Construction unemployment. It fell to 3.9% in August. That's below the national 4.3%. People who are getting into construction is making the money right now. First-time construction unemployment below national rate since 2020. The industry needs 439,000 new workers in 2025. 499,000 in 2026. But here's the thing. 80% of contractors struggle to fill skilled roles and skilled positions. Data centers need electricians, HVAC technicians, MEP engineers, and they're getting paid a whole bunch of money, $150,000. They're making a lot of money. And man, this is the route that I was telling a young man to tell his brother on yesterday. Like, man, your brother decided not to go to college. He should be getting into the trades. He should be working on some of these data center projects that are here in Texas. Microsoft building another AI data center down the street in San Antonio. That's where the money is. Get into HVAC, become an electrician, become a plumber, do project management in the construction zone, in the construction area. That's where the money is flowing, guys. Their career lesson is here. Pick the right path. You have Houston ISD teachers being cut. You got data centers needing 340,000 workers. You got an old packaging corporation in North Carolina and in Pennsylvania cutting plants and closing plants and eliminating jobs. You got construction needs for AI data centers, 439,000 workers needed. Jobs aren't disappearing. They ultimately are transforming right now. Teachers who learn data analysis will end up working in educational tech. Manufacturing workers who learn electrical can work in data centers and on AI infrastructure. Accountants who learn AI can become AI product managers. The path matters. Pick data centers over residential areas where residential building is at a halt right now. Choose AI over traditional jobs because traditional jobs, the growth is shrinking. Trade schools, the enrollment it's up. Construction apprenticeships are open. Data center training is available. The opportunity exists. You just have to take it. We just talked about two paths. Data centers booming. We talked about residential dying. Now, I want to wrap up this week with what happened in some global news that many of you guys probably didn't see when you were sleeping last night. I cover the global news every once in a while, but let me cut over here. The Philippines had an earthquake. I have workers that work in the Philippines. Had an earthquake last night. I'm also going to talk about a weekend outlook, markets, and what happens next. Give me 3 minutes of your time before we get out of here, okay? Let me go over to some breaking news real quick first.
Now, a tsunami alert has been issued after the Philippines was hit by a magnitude 7.4 earthquake, the second in less than 24 hours. The quake hit the southern Mindanao region at a depth of around 58 kilometers. Hazardous tsunami waves are possible for coastal areas. People are being urged to move to higher ground. Al Jazeera's Barnaby Lowe joins us on the phone now from the capital, Manila. Barnaby, so yet another major quake to hit the Philippines in a matter of weeks. What more can you tell us, Barnaby?
Yeah, that's right. Another major quake hitting the Philippines, this time in the southern Philippines. That's off the region of Davao. So that's in the southeastern Philippines. This was in the waters off the coast of Davao, but the National Seismology Agency says the depth of focus is just 10 kilometers. So it's a shallow earthquake. So it's in the water, but it's a shallow earthquake, but a very strong one, 7.6. This is, again, according to the National Seismology Agency. Now, as you mentioned, there is now a tsunami warning that's been issued, and this is a coastal area, so hundreds of kilometers of coastal communities here. As we speak, people are being evacuated, and local officials are saying that people, of course, were sent out of their homes and their offices and buildings, out in panic, of course. There are initial reports of roads that have cracked, as well as buildings that have been damaged. Of course, it's only been 30 or 40 minutes since this earthquake, so we are still learning the extent of the damage. There could be casualties as well. This is, as you can imagine, this will stretch government resources because
Philippines, they've been having it most recently, man. It's almost as if, like, you remember a couple years ago, guys, Haiti was getting beat down from earthquakes to hurricanes and so forth. The Philippines have been getting rocked lately. I wonder what that is a sign of. What is that a sign of when you got, these countries continuously getting rocked? I wanted to share that with you guys to get you guys up to speed on what's going on around the world. Quick hits here, okay? And this is the quick hits to close. You heard about the Philippines, a 7.6 magnitude earthquake. It happened Friday morning in the Philippines at 9:43 a.m. Okay? Off the coast, it's a major tsunami warning that was issued. Schools evacuated. I reached out to my co-workers. Things are okay. Let me give you guys a weekend outlook. Congress, they return on Tuesday. Military paycheck deadline is on Wednesday. Partial paychecks arrive today. October the 18th, protest is supposed to be happening. No King's Day. Over 1,600 events are supposed to be happening that day around the world, around the United States, nationwide. Markets on this morning, gold pulled back to 3,900 per ounce, up a little bit more from Thursday's pullback. But stock, their futures are up slightly. Dow plus 34, S&P 500 plus 7, NASDAQ plus 38. Oil down because of the ceasefire in between Israel and Hamas. So good situation there. Anytime oil's down, it means a gas pump. It's a lot cheaper. Let's move on. If week one helped you this week, many of you guys have rocked with me this entire week, right? You got my brother Dave Evans. He says he got his certification. I love that, my man. You got Ant Dog, who commented earlier and talked about how, he was part of the street life, and learning to code was the best thing that he could ever do for himself and his family. That's fantastic. You got Cam, the life of Cam, who's talking about Starlink and how Starlink is a game changer for anybody who wants to work remote and be a digital nomad to build something on their own in the middle of nowhere, especially for young people who are coming out of college. But you guys have been rocking with me all week, right? If you're new here, or if you've been rocking with me yet, all week and today, make sure you hit the like button. If you are new here, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to the Elevate to the Unknown YouTube channel and the Daily Climb Show. We do this every weekday, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central. Position yourself before everyone panics. That's what I call this. Because a lot of times you don't want to be panicked. You want to see where the money is going. You want to see where people are starting to make that transition. And you want to go there. You want to be one of the first ones to go there. So that when everybody else starts to panic and goes there, you already got to it. That's why we do this show. Don't miss Monday's show. We're going to be here live bright and early, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central. Type Monday in the chats if you guys are going to be here rocking with me on Monday. Week 1, it does end today. If you did your 5 days, I appreciate you. You should clap yourself on the back. If you did 2 days, I appreciate you. You should clap yourself on the back because here's the thing. You started. You may not have finished it, but you started. And that's what matters. But you got to finish it too. If you didn't do anything, nobody wants to hear you when you complain. Like, that's the thing. Like, a lot of times when you hear people talk and you hear people complain and you ask them what they didn't do anything. Nothing at all. They just make excuses. Nobody has time for that. So week 2 starts on Monday. 5 more days, 5 more actions. The window is open, but you guys got to climb through it. One more time, hit the like button. If you are new, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We are here every weekday, 7 a.m. Central. We're covering the government shutdown. We're covering layoffs. We're covering opportunities. We're covering pivots. We're covering successes. We're covering failures. We're covering all of it. Don't miss Monday. My final message for you guys, you ladder climbers out there. Congress adjourned. They're done. They didn't do their job. They didn't save the American people. You have to fight for yourself. Also, 782 Americans got cut this week. 6,000 plus people cut around the globe. You saw Luke, who, got away from his small town and built a $20 million company sailing on a boat. You got Sam, who got 10 interviews by doing something different, standing out. My man, Omaniki says just 10 interviews. Hey man, I put it like this. You spend $136, you go put yourself on Wall Street, you have a poster up and you get 10 interviews. 10 interviews over 1,000 applications. I'll take the 10 interviews any day. Those are reps, whether you got a job or not. Those are reps. That's being bold. That's being invisible. That's how you win. That's how I'll tell people to put themselves online. Leverage social media for your exposure. Talk about the things that you know. That's what gets eyeballs. That's how you win. That's how you can make an impact. He didn't use social media just to do it. He did it in public in by just going to Wall Street. Where the money is at. That's where the money is flowing, right? And he got 10 interviews. That's fantastic. This is the Daily Climb, guys. I'm Antoine Wade from Elevate to the Unknown and nextgenheights.com. You took action this week, or either you made excuses. Week 2 starts on Monday. The ladder is there. You guys just have to climb. We'll see you guys on Monday. I'm going to go get me some coffee, finish up a couple calls early on, and I'm going to squeeze in a nap this afternoon. Either way, we get into it. We're showing up. We're making it happen. Enjoy your weekend, guys. Go and crush your Friday. Crush your Friday. Get some rest this weekend, and we'll be back at it on Monday. Until next time, guys. Peace.